Nadia, thank you so much for making yourself available to talk with the alumni team today for our alumni conversations. I'm here at KAUST, you're in Dublin. You're an alumna from KAUST with both a PhD and a master's.
Okay, thank you, Lee. And it's a pleasure. And yes, as you said, so I did both my master's and PhD in KAUST. My master's was in bioscience and my PhD was in plant science. I graduated recently in December 2019. And then shortly after graduation in January, I moved over to Dublin to pursue my postdoctoral.
You've had a pretty global life. You went to University College London, where you undertook your undergraduate degree. Do you think that the life of a scientist, your generation, is one that is global?
Yes, I definitely think it's global. I mean, to be honest, I was brought up in a very fortunate time. So it's a bit of timing, luck, and hard work that I think my generation of Saudi women grew up when the scholarships started to open and women were allowed to travel and pursue like higher education abroad. And that's kind of what led me to, I've always wanted to do science since I was a kid. And I wasn't sure if I could pursue it abroad or be the certain scientist I imagined myself to be. But once the scholarship opportunity, whether it was, there was so many at the time, there was Aramco, KGSP just opened up in 2008 when I graduated high school, and the governmental scholarship, also from King Abdullah. So I think it's definitely global, and I've seen so many women, met so many Saudi women at UCL and in KAUST pursuing their PhD, and they're definitely making an impact in Saudi and on the world.
Did you always want to pursue a career as a scientist?
Yes, I think ever since I was 15, I actually wanted to be a chemist. Like I imagined myself as being like a super famous chemist professor and having my own lab. And then I started with that path. I started chemistry, but then I went down to more biochemistry. And then in KAUST, I kind of found a love for plants.
How did you aspire from such a young age to become a scientist or chemist?
So it was actually my chemistry teacher back in high school. And then I loved chemistry. She was my favorite teacher. And then she signed me up for this governmental competition. So we did like a aptitude test around, so I had to go to Riyadh to do this test, and then I got chosen and we got selected to do an AP course of our choosing, and I chose chemistry for the summer.
What about at KAUST?
Mark Tester, my PhD advisor, has been a great help, and from the beginning, like I think without him I wouldn't be as successful. So when I first started my PhD with him, I think it wasn't even a month in, and he sent me to Australia, in Adelaide, at one of his facilities at the Plant Accelerator. And after finishing this experiment, I came back and I got so much support from him to like process the data and finish the experiment that we managed to publish within my first year of PhD in Nature Communications.
Right now, you're a postdoctoral fellow at University College Dublin. Tell us about what you're doing at UCD. Tell us about your postdoctoral fellowship.
Definitely a new role. So the first 3 months I was just reading up on the project, but definitely exciting. So during the COVID, we did manage to get permission to do 2 field trials that are currently ongoing. And I've been going there on and off. And I'm also learning new skills, learning managing skills, supervising a student as well. So there's definitely lots that I'm doing. And one of the exciting things is that I'm working with drones. And I actually have one here. I can show it to you. That they've given me to practice. So when the weather's nice, I do go and fly out to sea and practice my maneuvering to get my pilot license. Yeah, so there's lots of new stuff that I didn't imagine I would dive into, like so early on in in my postdoc career.
So why are you working with a drone?
So we're using drones to capture image data. So whether it's like visible image to either capture the germination of a plant or just how well the plant is growing. So we can capture biomass, the height, even the stress if the plant is stressed.
How do you define your role? What does your day look like? What are you doing?
Currently these days, yeah, it's definitely a lot of research, reading. I know that I'm going to be dealing with a lot of plants, a lot of varieties, so we have to work out data management plan your experiments, design your field trials, so guiding also the student a little bit on his PhD project, and then having these field trials, these experiments that I'm monitoring. The whole goal is that we're trying to find genes that are related to stress, in this case waterlogging. There's a lot of rain in Ireland, and identify genes that are related to tolerance of waterlogging. So we're dealing with very old barley heritage lines, and finding out what kind of can grow well in waterlogged conditions as the climate is changing.
So did you intentionally set out through your postdoctoral work to go somewhere like Ireland so you can understand different sorts of plants than those in a desert agricultural sort of environment?
Yeah, I think like I chose coming to Ireland as well because it is also, I was working with rice, so I do know quite a bit about cereal crops. Barley is also quite an important crop worldwide. And yeah, it was one of the major factors of being like kind of a complete opposite stress.
Do you see your career as an academic or as a member of faculty, or use your scientific knowledge to go into the industry sector?
So I think right now I'm heading towards more the industry sector and looking for like more applied like sciences.
I want to talk now a little bit about your transition from life at KAUST to life in Dublin.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty much enjoying it, especially the springtime has been very nice. All the daffodils and tulips are coming out.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah, it's lovely. I bought a bike, and then I've been biking everywhere. I'm only 20 minutes away from the seaside. So I've adapted, I think, quite fast. Lots to do, even if it's on lockdown. Just being out in the green is really nice.
Have you been on absolute lockdown and required to stay in your home?
So the first 2 months, yes, I was completely at home, which was initially a little bit difficult because I had only moved here. But then also gave me time to like think what I want to do. I got into lots of hobbies. I've developed during lockdown is my baking skills. I've got like a freezer full of like brownies that I've been making weekly. I've got in the trend of the sourdough bread making.
What are some of your greatest research memories?
Yeah, so one of like my greatest memories in KAUST is during the first year of my PhD, which was probably one of the greatest professional achievements, was going to Adelaide, finishing that experiment, and then writing a paper. I had a lot of support from my peers, from my advisor, to get this paper written.
What about on the personal side? What are some of the great advantages you found to living here?
So I think when I first started during my master's, there were so many extracurricular activities. I was teaching Arabic. I was in the graduate student council, so I was helping making events and things like that. Yeah, there's just so much to do. There's photography club. Like there's always something going on. You can't really get bored in KAUST.
If you personally were to make an impact in what you're doing, what might that look like for you?
So I would really love to use my skills and expertise to like contribute to the sustainable development goals that the EU has in place, to kind of contribute to world hunger and like end hunger and achieve like sustainable farming. I think like that's something I'm very interested in, and that's where I hope where my career takes me.
We're delighted to have had the opportunity of talking to you today. Thank you so much for sharing with us the things that make you passionate and drive you to make the world a better place.
Well, thank you so much for having me. My pleasure.